Hi, I'm Miss Haley with the Huntsville Madison County Public Library. And for today's STEM activity, I'm going to show you how to make a simple toy. It is a ball shooter, so you use it to shoot the ball up in the air and then you catch it. It's a really simple craft, and it is a recycled craft, so it's perfect for Earth Day. For this activity, you are going to need a pair of scissors, a box cutter, which also means you need an adult or an older teen sibling for at least one part of this craft. Most of this can be done without the box cutter, but there is one part that needs it, so get an adult for that. You need 2 rubber bands. You want them, it can be really any size rubber band. You want them to be able to stretch around the bottle, and you want them to be not super loose. So if they're really old rubber bands, you don't want super stretched out ones, but they don't have to be super tight or new or anything. You need some string, some aluminum foil, and last of all, you need a bottle. This is just your simple soda bottle. I think they're like 20 ounces, and you need it, drink it, pour it out, whatever you want to do, and clean it. I always clean it out so that it can be kind of sticky. You don't want sticky toy. So drink it, recycle the bottle, clean it out, and we'll use it for our recycled craft. So to start out, we are going to cut this bottle in half. So we only need half of this bottle. We need the top half with the mouthpiece and this part. We do not need this bottom. That said, save your bottom. I use the bottoms for other crafts. You can also use it as a catcher if you want. That's probably what I'll show you how to do today. But you don't have to have the catcher cup. You could also use it to start plants. I'll start plants in them sometimes, but don't throw it away. Recycle. So, step 1 is to take your box cutter, and you're going to cut this bottle in half. Now, a lot of bottles have that ridge, and if you haven't already, go ahead and take off your wrapper. You want it to be clear and to be able to see it. So, a lot of bottles will have a ridge where the wrapper is, so you're going to kind of cut just to one side of that. Don't cut on the ridge. It can be kind of hard to do that. But just wherever about halfway on your bottle is, we're going to put a little hole. Now, at this point, if you want, your adult can finish it and just use the box cutter to do it, or you can take it out and you can use your scissors, stick them in there and cut around. I am just going to use my box cutter. It's a little easier to just go ahead and have your grown-up do this for you. This part can be a little finicky. Try to keep your cut as even as you can. I have already failed miserably at that. And make sure you're keeping hands and fingers out of the way. Box cutter is kind of dangerous. Alright, so now you have 2 halves. You have this. This is going to be our catcher cup. It does have a rough edge, so if you're worried about your rough edge, don't, run your finger along it anyway. It's like kind of getting a paper cut, but with plastic, not fun. You can sand that rough edge with some sandpaper if you have some. I'm at the library today and I don't have any. But you can sand this rough edge down. It is not necessary, however, you're not going to be really touching that edge very much. So this is our catcher cup. We're going to use it to catch our ball. And this is going to be our ball shooter. So what we need to do is we are going to cut 4 little slits, very small, like about 1/2 inch, on 4 sides of this. So if it's a circle and I cut one here, I'm going to cut one exactly opposite of it up here and then on the side. So kind of like a compass, you're going to cut it north, south, east, and west. So I'm going to make my first cut right here. And you guys can see I only cut to right about there. That line right there, that's my cut. It's about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to cut directly opposite that. So here's my cut down here. I'm going to cut up here. And then I'm going to cut exactly halfway between those two. And then I'm going to cut directly opposite of that, which should also still be halfway between my first two. Alright. So now I have 4 cuts that are all opposite each other, and we're going to string our rubber bands. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your rubber band, oops, not in there, you're going to string it across. So from one cut to the other cut, you don't have to pull it tight, you kind of want it to be a little loose, so don't pull your rubber band tight or anything, like that. And then the other part can just hang down next to it, or you know what, there's a little slice in this rubber band, so I'm going to put that part, the sliced part, on, I'm going to put that on the outside where it's not going to get pulled, because I don't want my rubber band breaking. These are older. So again, I'm stretching it across. I'm not actually stretching the rubber band, so when I say stretching across, I'm more like putting it across. It's not stretched. And this part, depending on how big your rubber band is, it might be fitting tight around here, or it might be hanging loose like mine. Either is fine. The only thing you don't want is for your rubber band to be so tight that it's really, really stretched here and it's like squishing your bottle. So if it's doing that, go find another rubber band. So we're going to do the same thing coming across the other 2. So we've got that one, and then it doesn't matter which side you go to, you just are stringing your rubber band across. So I'm going to put it in this slit, and then I'm going to take it over to this one. I keep trying to move it off camera, sorry y'all. So like that. So we've got it going across here and going across here. And so again, my band is just going to kind of dangle over here. This one's a little tighter than the other, and that's fine, does not matter. So you're only going to have 2 sides on the outside with rubber band across. You just need them across these 2 spots, so you have a plus or an X, however you look at it. It does not matter which way you strung it, or that there is part over here without a rubber band. The outside rubber band, not important. So next we are going to take our string and find our end, which is, okay. So we need enough string to come up to our rubber band and then come out a little bit, because we're going to use that to pull. But we don't need a ton, but we also don't want it getting stuck up into it. So about enough that you can hold it in your hand, like that. So you want a piece of string that is as long as your bottle and plus your hand. So like that. And then we're going to double over. So we're actually going to cut it double. So I'm going to leave this little loop here down at the edge. There's my end, and I'm going to cut right next to it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like that. So now what we are going to do, move the string away so it doesn't get tangled. And we are going to put the string around the X part of our bottle. So I've got a piece going on either side. Doesn't matter which side, again. Does not matter. And we're going to pull it out to the side. So it should be sitting on the cross part of your X, just on one. It doesn't matter which way. So that the loop is there, and then both ends are coming out the bottom. And when you tug on it, it should pull both bands down. So if it's not doing that, give it a look. Make sure you're going over the cross part on both sides, and you're not like just going on the same side or only on one. So you should be going on opposite sides of the X. Okay. And then at the end here, over here, we're going to tie them together so that they can't come apart. So we're just going to do that. I'm going to take my 2 ends in my hand. I'm going to loop them over my finger like that. And then I'm going to push the end behind and through the loop and pull. And I'm going to go ahead and do it twice. I think once would probably be plenty. But just to be super secure, we're just going to go ahead and do it twice. And now we have our ball shooter. So that is our ball shooter. And you can pull here. You don't want to pull too hard. If you pull too hard, you run the risk of snapping your rubber band. So don't go crazy with it. But that is going to be the ball shooter. So now we have to make our ball, which is super easy. You can also use paper balls. I like to use aluminum foil. Oftentimes, now right now I'm just taking it directly off the roll because I am not at home. But a lot of times if you're making this at home, if you have a piece of aluminum foil that didn't get like gross with food, but that you use to store something, you can reuse it for this, which is why I like to use aluminum foil. But you can also use paper. If you've got some notebook paper that is trash, you can ball it up too. And you can test this out with a couple different materials as well and see which one works best for you as a ball for your ball shooter. But all you're going to do, it's going to be really noisy on the video, I'm sure, is crumple this up into a ball. And we're not going to stop there. So when I crumple it up first, that's a huge ball and it's barely fits in there. You can experiment with size of your ball, but we're going to go ahead and squish that down because that was way too big. I'm going to squish it down with aluminum foil. I like to kind of roll it around a little bit just to get it a little bit more round. All right, and we have a ball. This is about the size of my thumb, a little smaller, but that's about how big you want it. Any smaller and it can fall through the hoop, so that one can fall through anyway. So I'm not quite, I'm going to pull this band a little tighter. It's a little loose. Okay. So what you do to use your ball shooter is you set your ball on the center of your X. This is hard for me to do on this camera angle, but we're going to try. You come down here and you pull your string. So you're loading it with potential energy. Right now it's potential energy because it has the potential to cause energy. And then you let go and you turn it into kinetic energy. Now that was a really lame shot because I was trying to keep it in my camera, but this can go pretty high. And the idea is that you shoot it directly up into the air and then you try to catch it. And you can either try to catch it back in your ball shooter or you can use your cup for an added challenge to try to catch it with your other hand. I hope you have fun with this toy. It's a really simple recycled toy. It stores really easy as well. And I hope you enjoyed this activity. Thank you.